Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So let's dive on in and let's start off with the Hbar price action. So over the last couple of days, we have been analyzing the overall price chart for Hbar because I do believe that we are getting very close to a potential breakout across the board for altcoins, especially as we do start to see the market recover a little bit. Now, I am definitely focused more so on the weekly candle close, which is happening this Sunday. More than anything, because again, that's higher time frame trading. It's more of a confirmation if we do get a nice weekly close over some previous weekly resistance. So that's what I'm really kind of waiting for. Now, if we look at the price chart right now for Hbar on the daily, this is what the daily looks like. Again, we're still fighting that uptrend resistance. It's right around like roughly 26.5 cents. We want to completely break over this, but on the weekly, if we look at the weekly, you could also see the previous weekly candle close right at resistance. What we really want to see here is a very significant close above the resistance from the previous highs. And that's not going to happen until we actually clear the previous highs. Again, when we think about what we want to see for the weekly candle close, mainly it's just over the supply zone, right? It's like 26.5 cents. But I would like for us to start gaining a little bit more momentum and actually break over 30 cents. That would be a huge move on the weekly. Obviously, it will take some time. But right now, I definitely am focused more on the lower time frames, like on the daily, for an example, for a potential breakout here. And then we could actually flip this 26.5 cent level as support like we did back here in the end of December into roughly like the middle of January before we did break out to the upside. Now, again, I did mention that in the previous video on Hbar when I did look at the price chart, and I am mentioning it again here because we are pretty close here. We're getting very close to a potential breakout. As you guys can see, this nice wick to the downside, we gained support around roughly like 22 cents, 22 and like a quarter cents. This is also on a significant support zone that we were kind of trading on during the beginning of February before we lost it towards the middle. So I'm definitely focused on us maintaining these lows and for us to actually potentially break out for the weekly candle close. But outside of that, there has been a lot of news floating around Hedera, and we definitely have been focused more so on the reserve because, you know, for the US crypto reserve, we'll probably get all that information by the end of this week, aka on Friday. And if that's the case, that could definitely boost the Hbar price, which will also have us breaking out and closing at a significant high on the weekly candle. Again, confirming a breakout. But let's actually talk about a few things that have been happening over the last couple days. So Greg Bell recently put out a post saying, when a prime minister calls, you answer, off to Europe to help another nation state evaluate modernizing its core financial infrastructure with Hedera. Exciting possibilities, the future of finance. Now you might be wondering, who is Greg Bell? For those that actually don't know, Greg Bell is the chief business officer at the Hbar Foundation and Hedera, and he was previously at Binance US. So when we hear these things, we should listen and we should pay attention. It seems as though Hedera is making a lot of big moves lately, which I am, of course, all for. I'm actually very excited about this. And I'm going to be focused on what Greg does tell us next, because we could potentially have some pretty big announcements coming soon if these meetings do go well. Now, outside of that, one of the biggest projects on Hedera that I have been following for a very long time, and I've been talking about for a very long time as well on the channel, is of course Neuron. So Neuron is basically an all-in-one package around DePIN and even AI. But the main idea around Neuron, in my opinion, and the big focus point, is a use case that I think is going to hit everyone in a couple years, which is drone deliveries. Drone deliveries for anything. It could be healthcare services. It could be, you know, packages. It could be anything. Drone deliveries are going to become a big deal, in my opinion. And not only that, but, you know, just to have something being able to track airspace and, you know, have that data really kind of delivered real time. That data is so crucial to understand if the airspace is safe or not. And it's not just around drones, right? It's around anything that's in the air. Now, Neuron originally talked about air taxis. Now, it's probably going to be a little bit of time until that does become a reality, obviously. But It's possible with this tech. And even more recently, they did post this on their 4D Sky app page, which is built on Neuron utilizing Hedera. And we have, is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's a brand new open source flight information display freshly installed in a UK airport powered by Neuron World and Hedera. The idea that ATC was powered by a man with binoculars until very recently is madness. So now, if you actually look at this screen, let me open this up in a new tab just so that you guys can see. We could see this tracking the flights. We could see everything in terms of the information behind this. And of course, this is from Neuron's 4D Sky application. This is actually very exciting stuff. And also, we did get a little bit of a post from Hbar Foundation quoting this, saying, the UK Gov plus Neuron World plus Hedera equals 4D Sky app DPIN. And yeah, this is what's possible with 4D Sky on Neuron. I think that this is very big, and this is revolutionary for, flights, for anything that's in the sky. We're talking about helicopters, drone deliveries, anything that is taking flight and is in the airspace will be tracked and traced by something like 4D Sky. And I think that this is a game changer. And not only that, think about the transactions that have to be recorded every single time that something is being tracked and traced in the air. That's all recorded on Hedera. This is going to be a big deal for Hedera. And it's one of the biggest use cases to date that I have been following on Hedera as well. Now, on top of that, I shouldn't say 4D Sky, but Neuron World did post regarding the 4D Sky app flight test footage that they did record on the 4th. And this was with UniSouth Hampton and also Wind Racers. Now, if we actually look at this, we have this week's testing schedule. Today, checking system functionality. Tomorrow, DAA testing against simulated AC. Thursday, real drone on drone DAA testing. And then Friday, demonstrations in front of the UK Civil Airspace Authority, I believe, Aviation Authority. So if we check this out, this is what the app actually looks like. This is what it would look like if you were tracking, anything that's in the airspace. It could be airplanes, it could be drones, it could be anything. This is exactly what it would look like in real time. It's all recorded. It's all showing you what's happening and what's in that airspace. So again, complete game changer. And it seems as though they're making a lot of big moves. I even said it in a recent video. A lot of the ecosystem players on Hedera have been making a ton of noise lately, and they've been expanding rapidly, which is very, very exciting. Now, outside of this, let's talk about it, right? It's going to be a big talking subject this week. I understand that's kind of being repetitive a little bit here, but we do have some breaking news. So the Trump White House summit will announce a strategic Bitcoin reserve, according to the U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Other tokens will be treated positively, but differently. Game-changing news. So on Friday, we're going to have more announcements happening around what specific coins will be included in that reserve. If that does get announced prior to me recording this video, because this is going to be going live in a couple hours, I do apologize, but I do believe that Hbar is going to be included in this. Now, I did also put out a post regarding why I believe this. I said if I had to gamble from 1 to 100% on Hbar being included in the U.S. Crypto Strategic Reserve, it would be around 75 to 80%. You may ask why. The answer is actually very simple. Let me break it down. Number one, Hadera is a US-based crypto company and project. Number two, Hadera is already working with major US tech and corporate companies like ServiceNow that powers 80% of the Fortune 500. Hadera has been championing crypto regulations while being extremely compliant the entire time. Check out their public policy page for a bit more information. And this is actually this page that I did share in a few videos. So their mission is to inform policy and regulation that impacts the industry. And here we could see all of the memberships and partnerships that they do have. Again, they are working with some of the biggest names out there, especially in the UK. They have the UK Crypto Asset Business Council tied to them, the Tech UK as well. And again, you also have the Blockchain Association within the US. You have the Digital Economy Council of Australia. You have Blockchain for Europe, and then you also have the Institute of International Finance with some of the biggest names out there. I mean, guys, Hadera is in a completely different league when it comes to regulations and compliance. And we even have here public policy in the United States. As a limited liability company headquartered in the United States, we engage regularly with U.S. policy experts and regulators to educate and inform global public policy as well. Hedera is a global network governed by organizations on 6 continents. It is important to engage policymakers in every region of the world to maximize the benefits of Hedera. And of course, compliance. Hedera is committed to complying with existing regulations and evolving policies. The regulatory committee meets regularly to discuss the evolving landscape and works to anticipate what could happen in the future. So again, they are committed to being compliant and working with regulators along the way. And I did say 4, the Hedera team has already been meeting with and speaking to very prominent leaders in the US connected to the Trump admin, paving a way for Hedera to be a bigger piece of the US system. And then last but not least, number 5, MTech CBDC-based project on Hedera was already working with the US Fed on a US dollar CBDC back in 2021 with Project New Dawn. Hedera's tech has stood out for years as being the most efficient DLT for everything Web3. This is one of the biggest projects in this space, not to even mention the legitimacy the Hedera name holds today. And yeah, listen, when we think about all of the connections to Hedera, when we think about everything that's been happening around Hedera, it really kind of screams, legitimate, compliant, and regulated. Everything around Hedera and all of the names tied to Hedera are not going to be tied to a company or a project that is not compliant, that's not working with regulators, that's not planning ahead. Hedera has always been 2 steps ahead of most of the players in the space. And not only that, but we know that Hedera is a US-based project. We know that Hedera has been cooking for a while when it comes to a lot of the use cases that they've been pushing forward. They're being adopted by some of the biggest names out there. They're already working with some big tokenization giants as well. Again, I just think that it makes a lot of sense to have Hedera tied to this crypto strategic reserve. I think that Hbar will be included. I think that's a very high probability chance, 75 to 80%. Again, it's very high odds. I do think that it will be. And also, by the way, over here, we have from Cointelegraph, they posted this earlier yesterday, and I was actually very surprised to see it. So we have big winners of the US crypto policy, XRP, ADA, and Solana are thriving, with Avalanche awaiting recognition, and Sui, Filecoin, Aptos, Near, and Move gaining momentum after White House invitations. Now, we have meanwhile, Link, Litecoin, DOT, and Hbar are stronger candidates for the strategic reserve than meme coins. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Link was actually added into that. It makes a lot of sense. We know that Chainlink has been meeting with some very prominent names as well. But we do have Hbar kind of in the middle. It's like the upper middle area for the ETF applications. And then, of course, we do have a few things around like made in the USA, and then blockchain projects attend the White House. I think that Hedera could potentially attend the White House. It wouldn't surprise me. But we'll have to watch, wait, and see. I'm not really kind of betting on that. But I do think that Hbar is a much stronger candidate than meme coins, for an example, for the strategic reserve. That's also why I did focus on the Made in the USA section yesterday. And I was really kind of just looking at this. And technically speaking, if you get rid of the stablecoin and you kind of cross out meme coins, well, then Hbar is number 4 on this list as the top USA coins. So again, it makes a lot of sense to have a spotlight put on Hbar to be included in that reserve. We're going to find out Friday. I think that Friday is going to be a very big day for this entire industry, not just price-wise. We don't really care about the price side of things when it comes to these big announcements because they typically are short-lived. But I do think that we're going to have a spotlight put on some legitimate players from the space, and Hedera definitely deserves to have a little bit more spotlight put on them because it's been one of the most overlooked and underappreciated projects for a very long time up until recently. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.